Hey guys, Mr. Decker here. This is the end of Unit 2. Cue crowd noise. All right. So this is Unit 2, Lesson 20, the final project, website for a purpose. Our essential question for this one is, what skills and practices will help us make a great website? Well, easy, right? Learning HTML, knowing how to do cascading style sheets, the CSS, adding style to our websites, knowing how to use classes, knowing how to use proper syntax, grammar, blah, 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 all that good stuff that goes into making a good website. All right, directions. This is your final project for Unit 2 on web development. Slow clap. All right, ignore the directions talking about being on a team and having partners. This is an individual project you are doing on your own. Make sure you use your project guide you made for lesson 18 while working through this project. You have 2 weeks to complete this assignment, so it is not due until, and that should be corrected. That should say May 7th, not April 30th. So those of you watching the video, May 7th. Right there instead of April 30th. So let me edit that real quick on the fly, live and in person, making some edits. Where did it go? April 30th should be May 7th. Enzo, behind the scenes, peek behind the curtain. All right, there we go. Corrected, May 7th. You also have access to a rubric on Bubble 1 of code.org, so do your best. Remember, you can always go back and view any of my videos for this entire unit, or go back and view your work in prior lessons if you have forgotten how to do a specific thing in the programming. Here is a link to the YouTube playlist with all the lesson videos. So if I click there, it takes me to my very own playlist where I have uploaded in order all of these videos that you've used for your lessons in this unit. So if there's a specific thing you need extra help with, you can click on it. They're all labeled. If you need help with intellectual property, with Creative Commons licensing, go here. If you need help with uploading your images and getting those to work, here. So on and so forth. And then you can just skip around in those videos however you need to in order to get your website to work correctly. This is your project, your work. So use everything that you've learned throughout this unit to create your own website. So the rubric, here we go. This you'll want to pay very close attention to. You must have at least 3 web pages, but you can have as many as you'd like. All web pages must be linked to create a working website with a navigation bar. You must have at least 1 to 2 pictures on each web page, but you can have more if you want. You must provide correct Creative Commons licensing for every picture. You must have an H1 header at the top of every web page. You must have a CSS rule set on your style sheet for every HTML tag you use. You must make at least 1 CSS class for your website. You must have at least 2 paragraphs on every page. You must have at least 2 ordered or unordered lists on your website. It doesn't matter which page they're on. And you must have headers of different sizes throughout your website. The entire lesson is on code.org, so make sure you're signed in there. Watching this video is mandatory. I am not walking you through this. I'm going to explain directions to you on each bubble, but I am not going to be doing this for you or showing you how to do it on this video. So you are on your own for this project. Now, if you're in the class, I can answer questions for you. If you are remote, I can still answer questions for you. Just take screenshots, send them to me via email, send them to me via Canvas messaging. However you can get your question to me, just ask. Don't hesitate to ask. I can help you. All right. So let's skip over to code.org. I'm looking at bubble 1 of lesson 20, our project. So what we're going to do is we're going to be making separate web pages and put them all together into a single website. You should have already completed your project guide for this. So if you open up a new tab on lesson 18, we did a project guide. So in this new tab, I'm going to go to docs.google.com, and I can see all of the files that I've been working with down here. Here is my U2L18 project guide. So if you go up here and you type in U2L18 project, you should see yours with your name on it over here. So I can see everybody's because I have ownership of the files. But if I go to my project guide, this is what you're going to be working off of to create your website. This should already be filled out for you. You should have already completed this. If you didn't complete this, you're behind the 8 ball a little bit, right? You're not really fully ready to go. So anyway, back to bubble 1. Make sure you've got your project guide open. You'll be using that to work your way through this. Continue. We're on bubble 2. So there's a lot of mentions in here about being in a group project, working with a team and other people. Ignore all that. You're on your own for this. So here's your project. It already has an index page, but you'll need to create all of the other pages. Do this. Double check all of the page names in your website plan, right? That's this, where you are coming up with the page names and what's going to be on those pages. And make sure you've got good, right? You're not checking with the rest of the group. You're checking with yourself to make sure your page names are good. Create a new page for each of the pages in your website plan. To do that, you click Add HTML, and then it'll add your new .html, new 2, new 3, so on, and then you rename it, right, by whatever that page is going to be about. So there's my soccer.html page. I'm going to delete that because I'm not using it for my website. All right, and then inside each new page, you're going to create an HTML comment that describes the page and who is in charge of it. You don't have to do this part. Skip this. For everyone that asks me about this bullet point, I know that you weren't paying attention in my video. So you do not need an HTML comment for every one of your pages. Check to make sure everyone in your group has the exact same list of HTML pages, right? And you're good there. On to bubble 3. Bubble 3 says, now add all of the HTML you will need for your project, including links to the style sheet and other pages. If you are responsible for the navigation bar, add it here too. Remember that your link to the style sheet always goes between line 3 and line 5, right? So oftentimes you'll have either a blank line here or nothing there. If there's nothing there, it will look like that. You'll have to enter down, right, and add that to it. So this is the link to your style sheet. This is telling the computer that, hey, computer, I'm linking my style sheet to this page. Here's the name of my style sheet. In my style sheet, I named Z style. You can rename your style sheet. I named it Z style just to get it down to the bottom here so that every time I needed to navigate to it, I could quickly just scroll to the bottom and get to it. No other reason than that. So if you just want to leave yours named style sheet, that's fine. Whatever works for you. All right. If you are responsible for the navigation bar, and you are, then add it here too. So on my index.html page, right, here's all my HTML and paragraphs for that page. So the first thing that I have at the top here is my links to the other pages in my website. I have 1, my home page, 2, my Smart Lab engagements page, my Chromebook repair page is 3, 4 is my computer science discoveries page, and 5 is my robotics page. I'm only requiring that you have 3 pages. If you want to have more than 3, go for it. But 3 is the minimum requirement. And then make sure that your links are working by just clicking through, making sure. The easiest thing to do is go ahead and make your navigation bar at the top of your index page, and then just copying, Control C, and pasting it into every other page at the top. And then making sure that every page is linked to your style sheet between those head tags at the top as well. And you're adding the HTML for every page. So if I go back here, this is my HTML, right? And you want to put everything between the body tags. The only thing outside of the body tags is your link to the style sheet, and that's between the head tags. Everything else is between start body and end body. And you can see all my code here. So if I turn my inspector tool on, I'm hovering over my H1 tag. You can see on line 13, there's my H1 tag. And my work in the style sheet is what makes it look cool like this. Here's my image. Here's an H2 tag. Here's my second image. Paragraph, 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 paragraph. Third image. And it's just a picture of the lab, right? And then I've got Creative Commons licensing down at the bottom, which I'm probably not going to require you to do on each page. And then if I go to Smart Lab engagements, you can see I've got my, turn the inspector back on. See, it's this H2 tag, and then I've got my list. Now I've used class list, right? You see that inside here. So over on my style sheet, I've got a list class created here. Remember, to create a class, you have to dot list whatever the name you give it. So if you do dot elephants, then that's your list name, and you put your rule set inside it just like you would with a regular rule set. Beyond that, right, getting your HTML in there. You're not worried about your style yet. You're just giving structure, adding your images here. Finish. We'll go to bubble 4. All right, so on this one, you're just finishing out all of your HTML pages. So if you've got 3 HTML pages, if you've got 5, 6, 7, whatever, you're going through and making sure that all of your links and images are working correctly. You're making sure that your navigation bar works correctly. Everything can be clicked back to, going back through things. Right, and it even says here to copy and paste the correct navigation bar onto each page. And your navigation bar is this code right here. It's just a series of anchor tags or link tags. And you don't need to do the share stuff. Don't worry about the share stuff. You're doing this on your own. So every HTML page in here is going to be made by you. Finish. Let's go to bubble 5. Bubble 5 says, add your styles. Now add all of the CSS you are responsible for, including your classes. So down here on the style sheet, right, you're creating your rule sets for each of the tags that you used. Right, there's my rule sets. I just scrolled through them slowly in case you need help with that. Add your CSS rule sets to the style sheet. Check that all of your pages are displaying the correct styles. And one thing to check on, if it's not working correctly, then make sure your link to the style sheet is done correctly up here. And it's at the top between the head tags of every HTML page you're doing, right? You see how that works. All right. Let's finish. On to bubble 6. On bubble 6, this is another share one where there are specific things they want you to do if you were in a group. You're not in a group. You're working on your own. Just checking the style sheet to make sure everything's working. Make sure that all of your pages are displaying the correct styles again. On bubble 7, your site should at this point be done. So just checking over everything again. Check that your site looks the same as it should based on what you wrote out on your project guide. Make sure that your site includes everything from the project guide, and check that your site meets the requirements of the project in the rubric right here, right? And if it doesn't meet those requirements, then you're going to have to do a little bit more work here. And when you're finished, and you've got your working website, then that is when you are ready to go back to the assignment page, answer the essential question, and call it good. You've got 2 weeks to do this. You've got week 34 and 35 to complete this project. That gives you 2 weeks and 8 total days in the lab if you're here in person. If you are not here in person, then you've got a lot of time outside the lab to work on this. So that's it. I hope you guys are pumped for this. I hope you're ready for it. Work your way through it. I think I will see some great things from you, and I look forward to it.